Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today all things Virgo New Moon, August 2022, and you. What area of your chart and of your life this Virgo New Moon is asking you to clean up, organize, and streamline. This new moon is so important for you to have awareness around because it is an unusual new moon in that this is not a video around let's plant brand new initiatives, let's start brand new things, let's launch out brand new ideas with this new moon. You may know that new moon is typically the time that we ground down new ideas, plant new seeds. However, this new moon is more so about cleaning, streamlining, and wrapping up the past rather than planting seeds for brand new initiatives. So I'll be breaking it down sign by sign as well as collectively so you can really understand what this Virgo new moon is asking for you to clean up. Clean your act up this Virgo new moon. And if you're really feeling this Virgo new moon call to get organized, get cleaned up, to get on top of your goals, to dial into your routines, I encourage you to check out my membership option below. You can check it out by clicking the button join. So there's two options that really help you plan ahead, get organized and streamline. The planets tier, I make you a little calendar every single month that outlines the astrological influences so that you know how to synchronize with these energies. And then the galaxy tier, which I create a monthly digital portal with detailed information on every single aspect, how to find where it lands within your chart, and really allowing you to not only plan and align your schedule with the cosmos, but also find those soul-centered opportunities to reflect on where these themes are coming to the surface within your world. So you can check that out via the membership, Magic Monthly. So grateful if you're already part of that container. And without further ado, let's dive in. Virgo New Moon 2022. So the Virgo New Moon exacts August 27th, 2022 at 1:17 a.m. PDT, 4:17 a.m. EDT. It lands at 4 degrees Virgo, and I'll be taking you through house by house what this new moon indicates, what fresh start that it is creating for you based on which house 4 degrees Virgo lands in for you. But before we get there, I just want to get you familiar with this new moon's themes to the big picture. So Virgo is about the little details of our world. It's about routine, it's about service, it's about errands. So this new moon is such a beautiful time to plant the seeds around habits that you really want to dial in, organization that you want to streamline, how it is that you want to create more order and create more organization within your daily world, as well as how it is that you want to up-level your own maintenance. If you haven't been flossing, if you haven't been taking as good of care of your pet, as well as it's a call to up-level our maintenance of ourselves. Virgo is all the little details of our worlds that make up the big picture. Because truly, the devil is in the details, right? Like, whether or not we choose to floss every single day leads to, in 10 years, whether or not we have dental problems. Our choice to watch TV right after work and eat potato chips or go for a walk has health effects. And I don't want it to come from like this paranoid level around always fearing the future, but rather understanding those micro decisions that you make every single day do snowball. And the big picture priorities of our world. So if you value health, if you value connection, if I were to look at your daily routine, would it reflect your big picture priorities? If not, the new moon in Virgo is a beautiful time to get your daily routine in check. If you say you want to get good at piano, are you making time for it every single day? If you say you want to live a healthy lifestyle, are you moving your body every single day? Are you eating leafy greens? Those little decisions that we make really are the little decisions that we make day to day. While they may feel inconsequential, Virgo energy reminds us that those little details make up the big picture of our world. And this is a really great time now that in the Northern Hemisphere summer's wrapping up, in the Southern Hemisphere winter is wrapping up, to really dial into where it is that you want to invite in shifts. where it is that you want to invite in shifts in order to show up as your best self. So that all sounds well and good, right? But I do want to let you know this new moon does have some frazzled, all over the place energy baked in, as it squares Mars and Gemini exactly. And that's the only aspect that this new moon makes. So Mars is the planet of action and assertion. So there can be this real feeling of overwhelm during this new moon, this energy around, I need to do something now. But the problem is we need to look at the signs, because Mars is in the sign Gemini. Gemini and Virgo are both mutable signs, so they're both very adaptable, and they're both Mercury ruled, so they're both very intelligent. The shadow side of this is that they both overthink quite a bit. And Virgo wants to perfect everything, and Gemini wants to learn everything. And with this harsh aspect, we could feel all over the place. We could be frazzled. With the Virgo energy, we're definitely dialing into how our world feels imperfect, how we're not living up to our ideal self. But with the square to Mars and Gemini, we don't know where to start. With Mars and Gemini, it's like, okay, I'm gonna start working out, but wait, let me actually dial in my piano routine. But wait, it's very all over the place. It's very frazzled. And knowing that this is baked into this new moon, I want you during this new moon, rather than feeling like you need to clean up and perfect everything, choose easy, streamline. Pick a couple of areas within your life, perhaps where it's located by chart will give more context around where the most significant changes can be supported. But really look at a couple elements of your life and see, how can I create more order? How can I improve this area of my life? How can I up-level my routines when it comes to this area of my life? Rather than feeling like you've got to do it all, which truly is going to lead to analysis paralysis with these two mercurial signs facing off, I want you to just notice what are the main components that I really want to up-level, that I really want to dial in, that'll be the most beneficial towards my big picture. Now, it's important to realize that the new moon in Virgo and Mars in Gemini are both answering to the same ruler, Mercury. The thing about Mercury is that Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow, which means that Mercury is treading 3 degrees that it'll eventually traverse backwards through. So this is why with this new moon, it's not encouraged for brand new initiatives, brand new habits, brand new shifts. Because with this Mercury in shadow period, it's like it's still best more so around streamlining and cleaning up initiatives and habits from the past rather than bring in something brand new. So let's say you're someone where it's like, I've never played guitar before, but I would love to do that within my daily routine. This actually wouldn't be the new moon that I would work with. If you used to play guitar a couple of years ago, that's perfect. I want you to look back at maybe past habits that you've had that you want to call back in, past priorities that you've had that you want to call in, like, I used to meditate all the time and I just let that fall by the wayside. Really think more so around how can I clean up and bring back certain elements of my past that worked for me? How is it that I can create more order and organization through ongoing projects would also be great. I would just avoid things that are brand new, because with this Mercury in its shadow period, it's not the most supportive time from the cosmos speaking around something that has never been part of your reality. And Mars, who this new moon is also squaring, is just about to enter its shadow. So we're really moving into this energy towards the end of the year that's not so much about adding more. It's about doing less, and it's about choosing easy. The Virgo energy tries to do it all. Gemini energy tries to do it all. Virgo often tries to do it all and then gets overwhelmed and burnt out because it agrees to too much. And Gemini is interested in doing it all, but then gets bored and annoyed with taking on too much. So with this new moon, streamline, really just focus on a couple of areas of your life that you really want to dial in and choose easy, choose to clean up. Think more subtraction rather than addition. So while this is supported when it comes to health initiatives, routines, I would also consider, where is it that I am messy? Do I need to clean up, whether physically within my home? Do I need to reorganize something? Do I need to get a new habit so that I put my clothes away at the end of every day rather than living in a mess? Like, look where in your life you can create more ease, less mental stress. Because with this Mercury energy, we're gonna feel all over the place. We're gonna feel stressed. Like there's so much that we want and there's so much imperfection in our world that we don't even know where to start. That's just going to burn out these Mercury ruled placements. So I really want you to streamline, think more so around what's going to clear up more space within your head rather than add on a brand new thing. You know that feeling when you check something off a to-do list? I'm a huge to-do list person, which is why in the Galaxy tier of Magic Monthly, you'll notice in the template, I have tons of to-do lists because I'm really big on them. And I would really encourage, maybe you're not a list person, but I would encourage it perhaps this Virgo new moon. And here's why. I want you to streamline, get really organized around what it is that you're trying to call in, dial in, organize. And I want you to feel that energy around grounding your initiatives down, checking things off the list, even if it's little things like I woke up this morning, I grabbed coffee, feeling that building energy of satisfaction and feeling proud of yourself as you check off each task, as well as having visually written down what it is that you need to focus on, because Mars and Gemini is distracted, right? The new moon in Virgo is neurotic. They're both very intelligent, they're very capable, they're very powerful, but it's all over the place. Virgo because of its high standards, Gemini because of its interest in everything. Write a to-do list, streamline, get organized. To get more information about this new moon, we want to play a little game called Follow the Ruler. So the new moon is answering to Mercury in Libra. Mars and Gemini is also answering to that Mercury in Libra. Again, Libra is the energy around balance, right? It's not that, even though the Virgo energy will try to make you feel like you're a failure because you're not doing everything, you deserve to live a life that is in balance, right? So it's not so much about adding more and more and more. Like maybe it doesn't serve you to run for 2 hours every evening. Maybe that clutters your day. That's okay. Can you find something that works into your schedule? Can you find something that promotes balance rather than contributing to this feeling of burnout that it feels like a lot of us are working towards as we move into Mars retrograde and Mercury retrograde towards the end of the year? And that Mercury in Libra is opposing Jupiter in Aries at the time of the Virgo new moon. So there can be a time around, I can do it all. Yes, I'll say yes to this and I'll do this. Choose easy, say no, honor your boundaries. With Mercury also trining Pluto, this is very supportive in being able to find transformation. Pluto is the energy of destruction and rebirth. So also noticing where you have energy leaks, where you have energy sucks. I think of this new moon, and the vision I keep getting in my head is a computer with too many tabs open. It's like maybe all of the tabs are valuable, like you have started doing research on this and you have started this project. All the tabs might be valuable, but when you look at your computer screen and it's all there, it's overwhelming and you don't know where to start and you just click out and you abandon it all. I want you to avoid that. With the new moon answering to Mercury, which is trining Pluto, I want you to close out tabs. Choose 3 tabs or 3 initiatives or 3 habits that are the most important to you and work towards those, okay? Keep track of those habits. Again, within my Magic Monthly Galaxy tier, we have a little positive habit tracker. I hate to keep plugging it, but I'm just saying it is really helpful if you have been craving dialing more so into routines and habits. Try not to take it all on. Try easy, try streamline. Maybe there's certain obligations that you can free up that create more space within your brain. I want you to think of closing tabs within your brain. Half-finished projects and that thing that you halfway started, even if you don't realize it, it's still draining energy from it and it can create this feeling of being frazzled. This new moon isn't so much about adding more on my plate, more on my plate, more on my plate. More so, how can I simplify? How can I ease some of my nerves by taking this off my plate? How is it that I can add certain routines to my day-to-day that actually make my life simpler? Because there is something to be said by that. I know sometimes bringing in a brand new routine, it can feel like something extra. Like let's say, if you make an initiative that you want to start going to the gym, that could feel like something brand new you have to work into your world. And you're like, I should choose easy. Sometimes adding in those routines do allow us to feel more streamlined. When we do have organization and we decide, I wake up, I go to the gym, I do this, it actually makes our life simpler because our brain is in default mode and we're not in indecision around, should I go to the gym? Should I not go to the gym? When we just have it baked into our routine, it actually simplifies and creates more space within our brain to contemplate other arenas of our life rather than feeling in this indecision, or at worst feeling guilt around, oh, I'm not going to the gym. Like, having those routines actually simplify your world. They close out tabs. Adding little routines like meditation. Yes, it's an extra 10 minutes that you're adding to your schedule, but it's going to create a nice ease within your brain. So think about routines like that, where it's like, yes, maybe it's something that you haven't done for a while, or it's something new to integrate into your day, but it's going to help you simplify. It's going to help you close tabs. It's going to help you focus. Those are the initiatives that I would really highlight with this new moon. So for this Virgo new moon, how to celebrate. So I really want you to tune to your intuition. Like, when I give suggestions of how to celebrate, I don't want you to feel bound to it. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're gonna do it wrong. Your best teacher and your best guide always comes from within. You will never lead yourself wrong. Tune up with yourself, use discernment. I'll share some tips just to sort of help you start thinking about it, but I want you to feel empowered to create a Virgo new moon ritual that feels soulfully supportive, that feels great for you and your initiatives and which house it's transiting within your chart. We'll get to that in a moment, but I also want you to consider that where this new moon lands within your chart, think of that house as where this energy is really concentrated. So that could really kind of guide how it is that you want to celebrate this Virgo new moon. Like, if it falls in the 4th house, you might want to, have a little ritual at home. If it falls in the 11th house, you might want to do it with friends. If it falls in your 7th house, you might want to do it with a partner, so on and so forth. But here are my suggestions. So Virgo is an earth sign, so I would deeply recommend, if it aligns for you, spending some time in nature, maybe grounding down. This new moon is very mentally frazzled and stressed, and spending time in nature just reminds us of the perfection and the big picture, and Virgo's pointing out the imperfections within our world. So I would recommend submerging yourself in nature, particularly somewhere where there's lots of trees. I find that can be very, very grounding. I would really recommend, as it's a Mercury ruled new moon, writing affirmations, and I want you to physically write them with your hand. Like, computer is great. I use my astrology planner every single day of my life, but I would recommend for this particular new moon, as it is squaring Mars and Gemini, which rules the hands, I would physically write things down. As I highlighted, this isn't the most supportive around something brand new, but rather reviewing and recalibrating initiatives from the past. I would write positive present tense affirmations. Let's say you really want to clean up your family relationships. I would write, my family relationships are peaceful and seamless, rather than saying, my family doesn't stress me out. You want to use more positive language, as well as try to anchor it into present tense. Is very powerful with this new moon. I would also draw into focus, like, life is ritual, truly. So beyond just, writing your positive I am affirmations in nature, also spending the day, Saturday the 27th, really showing up in your daily routine as your ideal routine. Whenever we want to integrate a new routine or a new habit within our world, oftentimes at first we have this zest about it, and then we kind of lose steam, right? I would definitely consider on Saturday really showing up as what your ideal self, how they would spend that day. And I don't want you to have this energy of like perfection or neurosis about it. Just really considering, like, when you wake up, how would your higher self start the day? Like, that's also a ritual. That's also planting the seeds around how it is that your ideal day would show up as, how you would show up as your ideal self, right? And with that, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to do this formal ritual, like even just planting the seeds around, okay, usually I wake up and look at my phone, but today I'm gonna wake up and go for a hike first thing before looking at my phone. You're also planting the seeds around that. So I really want you to think of Saturday as a microcosm of the big picture that you're wanting to call in with this Virgo new moon, particularly as it surrounds health and routines and day to day. And beyond just living out the day as your ideal self, you can also do something that plants the seeds of what you're trying to call in. Like, if you want more simplifying, if you want more cleanliness, like cleaning, do a big project, like do something that calls in that Virgo energy. Like, I'm really seeking order, or, if it lands in your 7th house, I'm really seeking connection. Let me start this new routine with my lover. Definitely listen for which house it lands in within your chart. Just start thinking, how is it that you can plant the seeds to call in more of that within your day-to-day on the actual day of the Virgo new moon? This is ritual. Life is ritual. So next I'm going to explore this energy house by house. So you can see by house where this energy is active, so that you know what area of your life is asking you to clean up everybody everywhere. And this new moon is at 4 degrees Virgo. So I want you to find where 4 degrees Virgo lands within your chart. You'll notice below, as well as when I say it verbally, I will highlight suggested rising signs. If the rising sign that I say or write is different than yours, no worries, just go by where you have 4 degrees Virgo. I just say it and write it for those who use whole sign house system or for those who don't know. But if you use Placidus, like I do, there's a high likelihood that where you have 4 degrees Virgo may be different than what your rising sign is listed. So without further ado, let's dive in. So love, if this Virgo new moon falls within the first house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Virgo rising, not always though. So simply go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So my love, for you, this is a new start around integrating certain routines that'll help you feel more beautiful or want to feel more visible. First house has to do with our physical appearance. So calling in any sort of routine that'll help you feel more beautiful, feel more attractive. And yes, it may make your skin gleam a little brighter if you're doing your skincare. It may look your fingernails look better if you get regular manicures. Your teeth might look better if you whiten them ever so often. And that's all well and good. But I think the real impactful part of this new moon in your first house is how it is that it makes you feel and how it is that it makes you look at life. Because first house, beyond just our aesthetics, is also sort of our outlook on this world. So if there are certain routines that you can call in that allow you to feel more beautiful and more magnetic and more confident, that will ripple out. Because yes, you will look better if you have those routines baked into your day-to-day, but you also feel better. You feel more optimistic. You stand up a little taller. And if you feel good, that might be, the differentiator of whether or not you go up and hit on that person or go out for that job or try out for that team. When it is that you regularly take care of yourself, you tell yourself to a subconscious level, you are deserving of love and care. You are deserving of feeling your best. So first house has to do with our physical body. So great time to attune to our diet, to attune to our exercise routine. Yes, aesthetic rewards are amazing, but I also want you to be concerned on how can I feel my best? I would also, within the first house, look at where you've kind of built up clutter when it comes to your beauty rituals or how it is that you look and feel your best. Like for example, if your clothes are overflowing, you're probably not going to feel inspired to put together the best outfit because it's just like overwhelming, right? So maybe you can go through your clothes streamlined so that you really have this space to be able to put on something and feel really good about it. Maybe for some of you, your makeup counter is exploding or you need to clean your vanity, or perhaps maybe for you, you need to clean like your bathroom sink or organize your beard products, whatever. I want you to see where you can streamline so that even in that process of getting ready for each day, you are supporting yourself to feel more confident. And it's more so energy around streamlining and dialing in routine rather than adding something brand new. So look for those opportunities. Also with this new moon, it really is kind of a personal new start. So truly, even beyond just aesthetic or outlook or confidence or visibility intentions, which is all supported here, it's also just very supportive of what it is that you want to call in for this next year. Do keep in mind it's answering to Mercury, which is preparing to station retrograde, and it's squaring Mars, which will station retrograde pretty soon. So it's not the time that I would call in brand new initiatives, brand new intentions, but it is really powerful to sort of reflect on the past year of your life and really notice, okay, where was it that it felt out of balance? How was it that I showed up? And first house also has to do with identity. So I want you to really have a moment with this personal fresh start within your chart. Look back in the past year and take some space to celebrate the person that you were, and also plan some intentions around new ways that you want to show up, ways that you want to show up a little bit more improved. Again, not dialing into the perfectionistic tendencies of Virgo, but more so looking for opportunities around how you can up level to the next level, how you can dial in the details of your world to show up as the most powerful version of yourself. So truly, most intentions are very supported with first house because it just has to do with self outlook, identity, which can ripple out into many other arenas of our life. But really during this time, planting the seeds around how is it that I want to show up? What will allow me to feel more confident, feel more visible, feel more beautiful, and what will clear up my energy? I want you to choose easy, choose less. If you have this new moon here, you most likely have Mars in your 10th house. And that's where Mars is most likely going to station retrograde. So with Mars at the top of your chart, this is the house of career and how it is that you are seen within the public. I wouldn't add new career contracts on your plate. I would more so seek to organize and streamline what's already there. I would clean up my work desk. I would make sure everything's dialed in to appeal to my authority figures, things of the nature. I wouldn't call in a brand new job. Again, your time will come, but if you have this, you most likely have mutable signs on the angles, and Mars retrograde is going to be very important for you to be able to really see what you are passionate about and what's sort of just draining energy from you. Make sure to check out the Mars retrograde video, and that'll give more intel. So rather than planting the seeds around where it is that you want your career to go next, I want you to more so stay focused around how is it that you want to show up? How is it that you want to feel? What routines are you going to put in place that are going to allow you to feel your best? Focus on that, take it one step at a time, and I promise you during that Mars retrograde within likely your 10th house, you're really going to gain a lot of intel on how to clean up that area of your life, how to rework that area of your life. So it's not the time that I would plant seeds for a brand new initiative just yet. So love, if you have this Virgo new moon within the second house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Leo rising, not always though. So I want you to go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. You need to get organized about your money, okay? This is an energy that is asking you to really streamline and organize. If you do not have a budget, this is the new moon around planting seeds, creating structure. Like I was sort of saying in the collective reading, like we think of, oh, I have to add a budget on my plate. That's just one more thing. But when I tell you that's going to relieve so much psychological and mental stress, having these systems in place. If you don't have a system that automatically transfers part of your paycheck every month to go into savings, to go into investments, this is a new moon that I would deeply consider it. Getting those routines and those daily habits in place that will allow you to improve and up-level this area of your chart. I would really encourage during this Virgo new moon that you also go through your stuff. Second house has to do with physical possessions. So if you have clutter, this is a great time to rework, clear. You could even sell some stuff if you want to get some money for it. It is a new moon in your second house. So it is helpful when it comes to planting financial intentions, but it is a time that I would focus more so on how can I make the most of the money coming in? How can I streamline and simplify rather than integrating a brand new income stream? Seeing what you can do with what you already earn and with what you already have, and see where you can streamline and simplify, whether it's your bank accounts. I've been integrating something. This isn't where it's landing in my house, but I'm just going to share this with you in case it might be helpful. I've been integrating something called Financial Fridays. Maybe you have Wealth Wednesdays or Money Mondays, but it's basically like just part of my weekly routine where I just go through how much money I brought in that week, what my expenses were, just to allow you to really dial in your spending, what it is that you're earning. I find that it's actually very helpful doing it once a week. If you're someone where it's like, I don't want to see it, I don't want to look, with this Virgo new moon, really look at that arena of your life and seek to clear up, because Virgo new moon can be a worry war energy. So it's like the more that you ignore it and procrastinate and not deal with your finances, the more and more worry and mental clutter that you can have within your brain. Like if you're someone where you're like ignoring calls from collectors and, ignoring, your minus bank account, it can feel scary and it can feel overwhelming. But like I said, with this new moon, we need to be really concerned around how we can streamline, how we can clear out the clutter of our brain. So if this is so this could be a really aligned time if that's something that you've been dealing with around communicating with those you owe money to, being very forthright about where it is that you are. With this Virgo new moon, really seek to improve, dial in to alleviate mental stress. As well as if you're someone, you're not necessarily struggling financially, it's just a great time to look at your finances and see where is it that my money is going, and does it reflect my big picture? Like Virgo really speaks to the details, and it's like, you say you want to live a healthy lifestyle, but you're someone who's more likely to, you know, drive through Taco Bell because it's just $6 rather than, you know, spring for some organic veggies. It would be a really great time to see, okay, does my budget really reflect my values? Like maybe a gym membership is expensive, but what's it going to add to my life? How am I going to feel better about myself when I have that expenditure? So if there have been certain expenses from the past, for example, you used to have a gym membership, you don't any longer, consider reintegrating it during this time, as well as anything that makes you feel more confident. Second house has to do with how it is that we value ourselves as well. So with the Virgo new moon, finding those little routines that make you feel more valuable, that make you feel more worthy is so supported during this new moon. When it comes to brand new income streams and brand new goals, it's not the time that I would necessarily suggest planting the seeds of those initiatives. This new moon does square off with Mars and Gemini. Mars and Gemini is most likely currently transiting your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And this is a sector that you're gonna have to rework because Mars will most likely station retrograde within this house. So rather than adding more hopes and dreams or adding a new income stream or adding a new job, I would just seek to streamline what's already coming in, what money's coming in, what money's going out, trim excess expenses that don't really match your innermost priorities, as well as consider investing in arenas of your life that do mean something to you. So love, if you have this Virgo new moon landing in the 3rd house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Cancer rising, not always though, so I want you to go by which house you have 4 degrees Virgo. So this is a new moon that I would do a digital detox. And you can either step away from your digital devices or just seek to streamline. If you're someone who just ignores it every time your phone is like, storage full, stop taking pictures, stop screenshotting, I literally can't take anymore. Use this energy to clear up digital debris. Even if it's just a file, it's still holding up some energy. Like I said, with this new moon, we have to be so concerned around how can we tie up loose ends? How can we close tabs from our brain? So with this new moon, seek to streamline your digital devices, delete photos, delete files from your computer, streamline, go easy. And yes, it will be a time investment, but oftentimes this energy around, you know, Xing out every time it says storage full, or when you're on your computer, you know, and storage is full and you just keep ignoring, it can lead to, it's hard to call in new when you're already kind of filled to the brim. It's hard to call in new contacts when you don't even have space on your phone to call it in. It's hard to call in new clients at work when your computer is already filled to the brim with files. I want you to digitally detox to clear in some new space, as well as really look at how it is that you're using your social media. For some, you can limit usage around this time, maybe creating more space within your mind by limiting how much you are continually feeding to yourself. This is the house of writing, so you could find a new routine around wanting to journal more is helpful. I would definitely say if you are someone who's a writer, this is also the house around marketing, social media. If there has been a project that you've been trying to wrap up and you've kind of forgotten about, this new moon is a really beneficial time to plant the seeds. Let's say you started, you were like halfway through a website design or aesthetic rebrand, and then you kind of like lost interest a year ago. Maybe this is a new moon where you're like, okay, this is the time I'm gonna pick up that project halfway and finish it, because that's what these forthcoming retrogrades are really great for, about looking from the past, looking to the digital graveyard, creative graveyard, and just seeing what is it that I can rework to finish to completion, rather than adding more. See what you can do with the projects already on your plate, with the files already on your plate, and really seek to streamline and close out tabs. Like when we have something when we have started, it's still kind of like zapping energy from us. So really look around, okay, what projects can I get off my plate once and for all? As well as 3rd house also has to do with our vehicles. So great time to clean, like physically clean your vehicle. Most likely Mercury may be retrograde in this sector of your chart. So really great time that I would definitely advise getting an oil change, ensuring that your vehicle is in tip-top shape. As well as if you have been trying to improve relationships with your siblings or extended family members, that also could be a very aligned time. And this may not resonate for everybody. This is a general reading, but I do want to let you know that some of you can be dealing with anxiety or a lot of mental anguish at this time, just because this new moon is receiving a square to Mars, which is most likely in your 12th house. And with 3rd house, it's our mind, and 12th house, it's sort of like our subconscious processing, what's under the surface. So you could feel afraid, you could feel distracted, you could feel all over the place, you could feel very anxious. And with this new moon, it's really an aligned time to plant the seeds around what you feel will help you streamline and simplify your mental processes. If you are someone like me, where you can't sleep at night because you just have all these thoughts and you just go on your phone to try to avoid your thoughts, like that temptation is going to be strong because you have Mars in your 12th house, which is the hidden house. That's where Mars retrograde is going to go through. So there can be certain things that you don't want to deal with. And we think that escaping and, just looking on our phone to numb out from our problems will solve them or alleviate them. And it really doesn't. It just adds, because those skeletons in our closet, those monsters under our bed just get bigger and bigger the more that we avoid them. So I would definitely say really look at your digital usage during this new moon. And if you do find you want to plant the seeds around, I will not look at my phone before bed, or I want you plant the seeds around only 45 minutes on Twitter, and that is it. And I really want you to reflect, am I using devices to check out for my own thoughts? Am I using it to run from things? And how can I face those things head on? And this isn't where this new moon lands in my house, but I'm reading myself here. So with this Virgo new moon, it's really asking for routines around responsible digital consumption. It's also asking for routines around how it is that you talk to yourself, how it is that you communicate with your inner self, around really seeking to integrate new routines that are going to have positive reverberations over your mental health as well as over your mind. So things such as journaling, communicating with friends about what's going on, maybe even little routines that do help you to a mental level. Like 3rd house doesn't really have to do with our physical body, but like let's say you want to call in a routine around walking after work because you notice that it so helps your mental health. And with Mars, that might help for some people. It won't necessarily help for every single person. With Mars in the 12th house, this can be a really aligned time if you have been feeling a call around talk therapy or anything of that nature. That can be helpful as well. I just really want you to prioritize your mind, how it is that you talk to yourself, how it is that you use technology. So if the Virgo new moon falls within the 4th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Gemini rising. Not always though, so I want you to go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So love, this is a new start that is very, very private and it's very personal. And it has to do with your home, both to a physical level as well as to a psychological, like metaphoric level. When it comes to a physical level, I'm just gonna say it, love. It's time to get clean. It's time to organize, okay? This is a time to, go to the container store, get some organization. Like I really want you to tackle one area of your house at a time and look to streamline, look to simplify, look to even beautify. I mean, this new moon is answering to Mercury in Libra. I really want you to look at your physical surroundings. So we can just think of it as, that's just where I spend my time. But also realize that 4th house in astrology also governs our emotional state. And oftentimes if we're in an environment that is cluttered, it's challenging for ourselves to feel streamlined. It's challenging for ourselves to have this energy of focus because so much is calling out at us. So with this new moon, I really want you to call in cleaning, right? As well as how it is that you can bake in certain routines that help your home be beautified and clean and organized. So maybe you're someone like me, when you just live your life, you just get stuff all over. Maybe this could be a time that you plant the seeds around, okay, I'm going to be really mindful that when I take something out, I need to put it back. Everything has a place within my home and it'll stay nice if I take it out and then I put it back. Such an aligned time to do that. And when I tell you this will have positive ramifications over your emotional state, it'll help you clear out any, mental duress, mental struggle. our physical environment does have effect on our minds, and you most likely, if you have this here, you have Mars within your first house currently, you are being asked to put this excess energy into streamlining, cleaning up so that you feel more supported to an emotional, psychological level. I also want to bring this surface, this can be aligned around calling in improvements when it comes to your family. Things of the nature could be very helpful. Do keep in mind with Mars in the first house, you can come off a little bit more forceful or aggressive than you might realize, but it is a great time to put that energy that you have with Mars in the first house. It will station retrograde soon, so you know, there can be slowdowns at that point, but currently it's still direct in your first house. You can have a lot of energy, and I would really recommend during this new moon putting it towards beautifying your home, simplifying your home, improving your family relationships, as well as setting up routines that will contribute to your emotional well-being, okay? Because this is a very private portion of the chart. And this is gonna look different person to person. Like for some people, this would be calling in, you know, after work, I need to make sure that I take a yoga class before I go home to my roommates, because then I know that I'm going to be in a more calm space, right? Or maybe for some of you, it's around baking in a routine around, okay, I need to communicate to my roommates. We need to have a chore wheel so that we all put in the energy to improving and maintaining our environment, right? Or maybe like for your emotional health, it's something totally different. Maybe it's something like making sure that you walk every day, making sure that you journal every day, whatever it is that helps you feel happy. Maybe even think of things from the past with this, you know, new moon answering to Mercury about to station retrograde. Like think, wow, I was so happy during that time in my life. What was I doing different? Oh, I had improved my diet and I did an A, B, and C. Maybe I can integrate some of that into my world currently. This is a time to really draw the lens inward and really look at where can I put energy towards improvement in order to lead to more happiness, to better connections with my family members, better peace within my home, within my roommates, as well as really feeling calmed when I'm at home because I don't have clutter and bills all over. There is something so freeing about everything having a place, and that is the peace that I hope for you this new moon, okay? So love, if this Virgo new moon falls within the 5th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Taurus rising, not always though, so simply listen to the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So this is a really aligned time to plant the seeds around creativity. Like if you were someone where you used to love taking photos, you used to love drawing, you used to love playing volleyball, this is a really aligned time to call that back into your world and maybe even make a regular, consistent practice to it. With this being the house of creativity and Virgo being day to day, for you, especially if you are someone who is creative, you know, we often think, well, I'm waiting for muse to hit me. I'm waiting to feel inspired, but it's like, you'll be waiting a long time, love. And the greats actually make it part of their routine. You can't just wait for inspiration. You have to sometimes force yourself, or at least just make it natural. I wake up, I write. I get home from work and I get right to that easel. Like working into your daily routines, that creating is just something that's baked into your day. As well as I would look at anything that's play. And I know this seems strange, having a routine for play, but seriously, looking at what creates joy. And if that's in your routine, like, do you have play within your world, or is it all work all the time? This is a new moon to be able to call in, whether it's, you know, hobbies and activities from the past you used to love, or just something that encourages more joy and making it more regular within your daily routine. So this is also the house of children. So for some of you, if you do have children, this can be a positive time to plant seeds around how it is that you can improve your relationship with them, or maybe even making like a special little routine that you can have with them that's sort of baked into your routine. So it's just something that's part, like every Wednesday you guys go to the park, or just something lovely that reminds you to connect. And for a lot of you, I feel that this will be an energy around calling in, you know, more play into your world. If you're someone where that has actually gotten imbalanced, in that there's been like too much play and too much risk and too much gambling, because these can also be 5th house themes, this can be an aligned time around, okay, I've been having a lot of fun, but I've been partying a lot and my health has been going by the wayside. Let me sort of call back, let me streamline all of these parties so I can dial into my health and my exercise routine. And it's not that this house rules health by any means, but it is a really nice time to be able to find fun within things that are technically good for yourself, or at least integrate fun routines. Like if you're gonna go for a walk after work, maybe integrate fun music. Or if you're going to brush your teeth, maybe you can brush your teeth and you give yourself a reward that evening. Then if you brush your teeth, you use the lotion that you like before you go to bed. Just little things that you can make routines and inspire a little bit more fun, a little bit more play within them. I also want to bring to the surface that 5th house is also romance and dating. So for any of you who might be dating a lot of people, this might be a nice time to streamline. If certain people are just not living up to your standards, trust me, Mercury will likely be stationing retrograde through this house, potentially not. You'll want to look to the degrees, but with it, it's really a time to do less rather than add on more. So, use the critical eye of Virgo to really see, okay, who is it that I'm having the most fun with? Who is really up to my standards? Things of the nature. Because I do want to draw into focus, like, Virgo New Moon has high standards. And it's also squaring off with Mars in 2nd house. So if there have been certain people that you're dating that are not valuing you, this is a great time to streamline, to really look at your hobbies and how it is that you're spending your recreational time. Be like, is this worthy of my energy? Is this worthy of my time? And if it's not, let it go. There are lots of things that you could do with your day, lots of different areas of your life to clean up and dial in and to improve. And if something isn't genuinely adding to your life and adding to your joy, this is a time to streamline. Really pay attention to the hobbies as well as the people that you're dating that really genuinely light you up. This is the house of your own inner child. So things that make you feel more carefree and lighthearted, that's what you should be baking into your day. And I know Virgo typically has these themes around routine and obligation and all of these things, but you can inject fun and lightness into anything. You can find little routines as part of your work that make it a little bit more enjoyable. You can add little bursts of fun into your workout routine. Why just work out in silence when you can listen to a fun podcast or infuse some music? It's about finding routines that just add a little bit more fun and lightness into your day, as well as releasing people that you're dating or hobbies that are not really as fun, just kind of releasing that clutter from your world and from your schedule. I wouldn't really plant the seeds around calling in new love into your world, maybe calling in more play, or maybe calling in, if you had a really fun fling from the past, not calling in that particular person, but calling in that feeling oh my gosh, I remember that particular connection was so fun and lighthearted. I want to call that in. Essentially, this is a new moon to plant intentions around anything that has to do with creativity, anything that has to do with romance, with your children, as well as with your inner child. So if this Virgo new moon falls within the 6th house of your natal chart, you may potentially be an Aries rising, not always though. So go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So love, this is coming for your routines, okay? This is coming for your routines and it's asking you, simplify. Look at how it is that you spend your day-to-day and get that dialed in, my love. You need to look at what it is that you are eating every day, how it is that you are either supporting or hurting your health every day. You need to look at even small animals, taking care of them, watering your plants. I want you to think of the things that you do every day and plant the seeds around integrating new positive routines that are going to help your health, that are going to help the big picture goals and endeavors that you have. If there have been certain elements when it comes to maintaining your daily world, you haven't been watering the plants, you haven't really been eating leafy greens, this is a new moon to plant those intentions, particularly if there's an exercise routine that you used to enjoy, or perhaps if there was certain habits from the past that you're like, why did I feel so good in high school? Oh, because I was on the volleyball team and I was working out every day. Maybe you can integrate some sort of movement within your day-to-day. This is also the sector of work, not how it is that we are known at work, but the actual act of doing the work. And with this, I wouldn't necessarily recommend calling in a brand new position. If you're Aries rising, your ruler is Mars. And even if you're not an Aries rising, Mars is still about to station retrograde. So it's really not a time that I would add on more to your plate, more so simplify. But it is a really great time to establish structures within your daily routine, to get organized, great time to clean up your work desk, to communicate with your coworkers around who's doing what, really seek clarity, really seek communication. You may have Mercury retrograde within this sector, so it can be a time that work projects from the past come back or that there's miscommunications. So I would really use this new moon to plant the seeds around order and organization and really closing out the tabs of ongoing projects at work. Like, let's say you were assigned something 4 months ago and you've just been avoiding it. Like, this is the Virgo new moon around how can I seize control? Just get this off of my plate so I don't have to stress about it. It's also a time that you could plant seeds around better communication when it comes to coworkers. I do want to draw into focus that this new moon does square off with Mars that's in your 3rd house. So, you know, definitely make sure that you are double checking all of your emails. Really seek to see if you have certain systems in place that are going to lead to more concise communication, better work in general. Like, let's say if you don't have any systems in place where, you know, that little app on Gmail where you can hit undo of emails if you spot a typo, or certain tasks you can take off your plate so you can really dial in your fullest attention on the initiatives that you do have. Seek to clean that up. Do less. So not the time that I would volunteer for more work projects, rather tie up loose ends of past work projects, get certain systems in place so you can ensure that you are mitigating any risks, challenges, or making mistakes simply by having too much on your plate. I highlighted this earlier, but this can be a very mentally frazzled combination. So I want you to seek, okay, how can I close out tabs from my brain? How can I make this as seamless as possible, my daily routine, as well as my working reality? So if this new moon falls within the 7th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Pisces rising, not always though. So just go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So for you, this lands in the sector of relationships and partnerships. And listen. Okay, so for some of you, you may be calling in love and you may be calling in a partner, and that's all well and good. You know, it's not that Mercury's retrograde, so it's not a red light, but it's a yellow light, okay? It's definitely a yellow light. Proceed with caution when it comes to inviting in brand new individuals into your world at this time. It can be great to nurture ongoing relationships, nurture ongoing partnerships, really support those connections with really great communication, or really great, like if you are in a relationship, like scheduling in a routine around date night or things that work into your routine, this energy of connection. Or if you have a business partner, working in, okay, financial Fridays, let's connect. Like working in connection into your daily routine. Maybe every Wednesday you call your grandma, or every Friday you go for a walk and call your mom. Just like little things that put the element of connecting into your daily routine would be very supported here. Like I said, yellow light when it comes to calling in new people. I'm not going to say no, but just proceed with caution, okay? Because with this new moon, I just don't want you to add more on your plate. It's really a great time to streamline and to simplify, because not everybody, but a majority who have this will have mutable signs on their angles. So AC, DC, IC, or MC. And mutables, I just want you to be so mindful when it comes to drawing on anything new, any new contracts, any new connections, relationships. More so, this is the time to streamline connections, contracts, and partnerships from the past, rather than inviting brand new ones. Like, you know, this new moon is a great time to streamline. So it's not to say that you should release partnerships, but if you find that someone is genuinely not making you happy, and in fact you're angry about certain parts of their connection, really seek if you can streamline or kind of alleviate your mind from it. So if there's some sort of anger that you've been holding on to, because you most likely have Mars within your 4th house during this new moon, it's squaring the new moon, there can be these brewing feelings of anger or resentment, whether it's towards your family or towards a relationship within your world. And if it's something you've been holding on to and not addressing and being very forthright about, this new moon is a really positive time to improve those connections and maybe move forward with a little bit more honesty. It may be part of your upcoming Mercury retrograde to really clarify and go through how it is that you communicate within your partnerships. If you're communicating about where you have these angers or frustrations brewing, the anger also could be derived from other 4th house themes, roommates, landlords, or just feeling more incensed, having more of a roar. And maybe there is certain ways that your connections can be improved so you don't have this anger that you're holding on to. if the anger is coming from a one-to-one partnership. So love, if this Virgo new moon falls within the 8th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be an Aquarius rising, not always though. So I want you to go by which house you have 4 degrees Virgo within. So this new moon is an interesting one for you because it falls in the 8th house, which is shared income as well as death and merging. Kind of intense, a little heavy, but I want to give you a couple of manifestations. One, this is a really nice time to plant the seeds of organizing any sort of end-of-life affairs. A little dark, but if you have been looking to, get your will all dialed in, or if you and your siblings have been trying to figure out your parents' affairs, like this is a really great time to organize and streamline and get on top of those sectors. If you are married, this is a great time to plant the seeds around how it is that you're going to organize and make the most of the shared income that's coming in, because with Virgo, it's about streamlining. So it's not the time that be like, calling in that your partner get a brand new job, but it is very supportive around, okay, how is it that we can find more organization and more order so that we are maximizing the income that's coming in, as well as minimizing the expenses, as well as for some of you, maybe there's an overage, maybe there's more money left over. With the Virgo new moon, it also looks into, okay, how can we improve our daily reality with the money that's coming in? Maybe the two of us want to, invest in a gym membership or invest in something that's going to lead to better habits, as well as more enjoyment overall. For those who aren't married, aren't dealing with any alimony or child support or anything of that nature, this area of your chart also speaks to surrender. And it's interesting because Virgo is quite the control freak, and 8th house is the house around what it is that we merge and surrender into. So with this kind of combination, it can be asking you to find some peace around what you cannot control. And maybe this would be a time to put in things to your routine that do give you this sense of peace. You can't control it all, but maybe after a workout, you have this sense of peace around, okay, everything's unfolding exactly as it's meant to. You can't control it all, but maybe integrating something like praying allows you to find some peace around what's hidden and what's not controlled about life. It's an interesting combination, but I would look to your daily routine and what it is that allows you to sort of surrender into the ebbs and flows of life rather than to seek to latch on and grip on and control and perfect. Like with Virgo new moon, for any of you who are, perfectionists or quite neurotic, this could actually be a great new moon around planting the seeds around encouraging more flow, encouraging sinking deeper into life rather than fighting against it. As well, if you've been craving a really deep transformation, this can be a great new moon to plant the seeds. Now, it's not going to take place necessarily a sweeping way. Most likely Mercury retrograde later, actually next month, September 2022, is going to go through this sector. So maybe not the most aligned time when it comes to calling in a brand new utter renovation or transformation of this sector, but it is really great around planting the seeds that that's something that's important to you, and you're going to work through that within your daily routine. So maybe that transformation that you're looking for, maybe it shows up in really micro ways. How it is that you spend your mornings can lead to this psychological renovation, or how it is that you unwind at night can lead to this transformation. Like sometimes these big sweeping changes are actually disguised in the little decisions that we make every day. So very supportive if you want to call that in. Also, forgive me for being a bit risque, but I do want to draw on a focus that this lunation does square off with Mars, which is in your 5th house. And so for any of you who are in a relationship, this is a great time to commit to regular routine connection, if you get what I mean, as 5th house largely has to do with those themes, and 8th house can indicate intimacy to a deeper level. So perhaps if that's something that's sort of fallen by the wayside, perhaps planting the seeds to integrate that to a more consistent basis. So love, if this Virgo new moon falls within the 9th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Capricorn rising, not always though, so simply go by the reading of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So love, this is a new start when it comes to your beliefs. And furthermore, with the energy of Virgo baked into this new moon, also considering how it is that you can feed your sense of faith within your daily routine. So if you are someone, particularly with, Mercury in the retrograde shadow, also considering if you were someone who used to pray and you kind of, life got too busy and you let that fall by the wayside, consider integrating that. If you were someone where you used to like walk through the meditation garden and you kind of lost touch with that, like ways and routines that you can integrate that make you feel connected to your big picture, towards what it is that you believe in, what it is that you want. This is a new moon to feed faith. Okay, and particularly feed what it is that you believe in. And yes, that could show up in routines. Maybe for some people, you feel most spiritually connected when you're doing some sort of Virgo activity. So moving your body or dialing into your health, maybe something of that nature. So many who have this will be a Capricorn rising. So also consider where you've been too pragmatic. And this could be a really lovely new moon to plant the seeds around baking in optimism within your day-to-day. Having something like a gratitude list that you write in every morning, or before going to bed, thinking about the best case scenario, like ways you can integrate more faith, more optimism within your daily decisions. And this kind of daily routine energy is so heightened, and the reason I keep talking about it is because this lunation does square off with Mars, which is most likely in the 6th house, which also has to do with daily routine. And for some of you, I'm getting this sense that, you know, Mars is our physical activity. So I feel like for some of you, there can be this call around moving your body, but like mind-body connection. Like maybe that's yoga, maybe that's running, you know, moving meditation, things where you are supporting your health, because Mars in 6th house is having you look at that, but also feeling connected to your own big picture, really planting the seeds during this lunation for that, as well as ensuring, just with this square off, you know, you are both seeing the trees as well as the forest, seeing the details as well as the big picture. Like I don't want you to get so lost in the minutia of the day-to-day and the stress and the grind of the day-to-day that you forget to look to the big picture. Like, what is it that you believe in? What is it that you are moving towards? This sort of lunation is asking you to bring that back into balance, especially with that Virgo new moon. It's answering to Mercury and Libra. Libra is all about balance. So if you're someone where you sweat the small stuff, like you're always going, and you forget to take a step back every so often, it's a great time to draw more focus into, okay, what makes me feel spiritually connected to my big picture? If you are someone where you're like, it'll all work out, I don't need to get organized and pay attention to my day-to-day, this new moon is a great time to draw more focus towards that. All in all, the best extension of this would be a true balance and truly feeding both of these components of your life, because both are important. So love, if you have this Virgo new moon landing within the 10th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Sagittarius rising, not always though, so simply go by where it is that you have 4 degrees Gemini. Okay, so you have this new start and this fresh new moon within the sector of career and public persona. Now, when I say new start, I very much mean yellow light energy, not green light go, not red light stop, yellow light, because Mercury may be direct at the moment, but it's in its pre-retrograde shadow. So it's going to repeat to the degrees that it's in currently. And Mercury is so important for this new moon because it's the ruler. So it's like not the time that I would want to initiate something brand new, because with Mercury retrograde, it's a time that we sort of dial in. We may need to revisit. So it's not necessarily supportive around, I'm going to find an utter career change and start this brand new contract, because there can be things that need to be dialed in or reviewed. However, where this is really supportive is around cleaning up your career currently. So if you're someone who is self-employed, I would look to your website, your social media, your marketing, what people see of you. Clean it up. Clean it up. Notice what feels aligned, reread everything, see if there's typos. You know, Virgo does have a detail-oriented eye. Use it for good during this influence by really dialing in these details to see, okay, how is it that I'm showing up and how can I show up more effectively? If you're not self-employed, like within your career, really dialing into, okay, what projects do I need to get off my plate? Because even if something is just kind of mentally in your mind around, okay, gotta finish this, gotta do this, it's still sort of leaking energy from you, right? So I really want you to streamline, clear out your brain. If there's a project from, 4 months ago and you just keep putting it off, use this new moon, plant the seeds around, I'm going to finish that proposal, I'm going to get that done. I want you to think less rather than more. When it comes to your career, I would be a little mindful moving forward when it comes to brand new initiatives, because like I said, with Mercury retrograde, we may need to revisit or dial in or or adjust things of some sort, but it is really great on looking back towards past initiatives and saying, hey, this deserves some love. Hey, I started the blog on our company website, then I totally abandoned it. Hey, I started this campaign for my business and I totally abandoned it. Looking towards also how your daily routine contributes to your business or contributes to your career. If you've been looking to get more organized, like you're like, okay, when I get to work, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to make sure my work desk is always organized, I need to clean up my computer. Like, look towards those little things that can be creating more clutter and more mess. I also want to bring into focus that this new moon does square off with Mars, which is in your 7th house. There can be certain conflicts as we move forward into the end of the year around feeling pulled from, work, and also trying to keep your relationships intact. You can find there's more, conflicts or things of nature. So I'd also just highlight, when it comes to career, really look to make things as clear and as simplified as possible. Mars will station retrograde within the 7th house of your natal chart, which is around one-to-one partnerships and connections. So with that occurring, this is a really great time, like knowing that people can be a little bit more Mars-like, which is a little bit more angry and incensed. Really great time to also dial in certain elements of your business. So for example, with Mars in 7th house, sometimes you can have more angry customers. So if you're someone who doesn't really have like a refund policy in place, or it's not really listed, dial in the details of your business, dial in the details of your career, knowing that this is squaring off with Mars. How is it that you're going to deal with people who are unhappy and want a refund? How is it that you're going to deal if you accidentally miss an appointment? Like, knowing that Mars is in 7th house, this can lead to more conflict within your interpersonal relationships. So maybe you have to get organized at work so that you're able to spend more time with your connection, or maybe you have to get more organized at work so you're able to alleviate angry customers. Just knowing, my love, if you have this, you most likely have mutable signs on the angles. Try not to take on more, okay? Mars is going to go retrograde in Gemini later this year. So my mutables, so that's my Geminis, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, do less. Take on less during this time. I want you to more so streamline, tie up loose ends. And for you, particularly as it relates to career, public persona, some of you, as I highlighted, there could be angry customers, but also with this new moon, also planting the seeds around improved relationships with your bosses, authority figures. Like if you don't really have a routine baked in, like, a weekly meeting to check on your status updates or things of nature, this is a really lovely time to plant the seeds for that. So love, if this Virgo new moon falls within the 11th house of your astrological natal chart, this reading is for you. You may potentially be a Scorpio rising, not always though. So make sure to go by the house of where you have 4 degrees Virgo. So love, this new moon is a fresh start when it comes to your friendships and your colleagues. Virgo does have high standards, and this could be a lunation that you're really looking at the people that you're surrounded by and you're like, am I inspired by these people? And maybe you, not saying dump all your friends, but if you find that, these individuals aren't inspiring you to live your best life, to live your most healthy life, to live your most actualized life, this can be a time to plant the seeds around how it is that you want to feel within connections, within colleagues, the rooms that you want to be in, the inspiration that you want to glean from those that you are around. For some of you, with this lunation answering to a pre-retrograde shadow Mercury, you can put more energy towards past friendships or friendships that have sort of fallen by the wayside. Maybe for some of you, you haven't felt as social. I mean, a lot of you have Scorpio rising, so your chart has been going through the ringer. So a lot of you haven't really been putting yourself out there. You haven't been really social, doing happy hours, business networking, anything of that nature. This is a new moon to really call in integrating that more so within your routine. Like if you make it a mission, like every weekend I reach out to someone to spend time with, like inertia, love, we can get, overly comfortable at times just in our own little sanctuary, not putting ourselves out there. And if you find you're craving more social time, this is a great time around, okay, if I have this in my routine, then it's just going to be natural for me to reach out to, try to find someone to do something with, or going to this fun event in my town, like just challenging myself to integrate within my routine these social events. I also want to draw and focus, 11th house is hopes and dreams to the future. So typically with new moons in 11th house, it's kind of like a free space, like within bingo or something, in that most intentions align to it because 11th house is the future. It's hopes and dreams. So it is very aligned around what it is that you want for your future and what little routines are going to get you there. So let's say you really want to be an esthetician. Like, are you reading up on skincare? Like, essentially looking at your daily routine and it's supporting your big picture dreams. As I've highlighted, you know, this new moon isn't the most supportive around brand new initiatives, brand new friendships, right? Like, even though it is a social new start, it's a time to sort of call in routines or call in, you know, past friendships or call in elements of your world that'll allow you to kind of be more social. It's not the time that I would be too focused on gotta make new friends and all of these things. I would just plant the seeds around making that more so part of your routine, maybe reaching out to past friendships. And when it comes to like hopes and dreams, it's going to be interesting juxtaposition. Hopes and dreams are supported, but especially if they are hopes and dreams from the past. I know that sounds confusing. Let me clarify. Let's say 5 years ago, you were like, oh, I so want to be a writer. This could be a new moon where you're like, I so wanted that and I forgot about it. Let me plant down the seeds here. As well as cutting out the noise of your world. Like, what's getting in the way of your dreams? Maybe for some of you, it's raising your standards when it comes to certain friendship groups where it's like, this is not supporting me in terms of where it is that I want to go, the life that I want to live. As well as this new moon does square Mars in the 8th, most likely. And 8th house is a very intense house. I also want you to look at your connections and if you feel safe transforming within them, if they feel deep, if they feel intimate, if they feel raw. And for some of you, if they aren't, I mean, a lot of you are Scorpio rising, so it's like that's how you like connections. Maybe you can sort of clean up that area of your life. Maybe you're like a little less available within your daily routine for those friendships that you really aren't able to go deep with, that you really don't feel like is allowing you to transform towards your best self and transform towards your hopes and dreams. Clean up this sector of your life. Really plant the seeds around spending time with people who inspire you to be your best self, people who up-level you, people who make you feel closer to your hopes and dreams. That's really what I would dial into with this new moon. If this Virgo new moon falls within the 12th house of your astrological natal chart, you may potentially be a Libra rising, not always though. So make sure to go by where in your chart you have 4 degrees Virgo. So you're getting this new start in how it is that you create order in a house that's very murky. How it is that you create order within your healing, I suppose. How it is that you create order in your mess. 12th house is the depths that we avoid. And new moon in Virgo does call in new habits and routines. So for some of you, you could be calling in habits and routines that help with your mental health, that help you when it comes to your escapism, when it comes to procrastination, what it is that you run from. For some of you, you can be getting really real at this time around certain habits. And if you are using those habits to escape or to numb yourself, like with Virgo new moon, Virgo is an energy about being proactive, about facing things head on. And 12th house is everything in life that we run away from, that we ignore, that we put under the bed because we don't want to look at it, right? And so this is a time to find more order, find more organization, find more cleanliness within this very swampy, scary area of our chart, truly. And I know this feels intense, but truly what I would anchor into during this Virgo new moon is really finding habits and routines that support you to a deep spiritual healing level. Like for some people, maybe integrating, therapy. So you really look at those things head on. Maybe for some people, it's integrating something like tarot cards or oracle cards, something that allows you to connect to your spirit regularly rather than just numbing out and running away from those things. Maybe for some of you, it's around writing down your dreams. Like 12th house has to do with the skeletons in our closet, our shadow self, what it is that we run away from. And so with this energy of habits and routines you can integrate within your daily or your weekly routine that allow you to just more regularly commune with self, more regularly communicate with your soul and take care of yourself and really face your shadow and what it is that you run from. 12th house is the house of solitude and it's the house of isolation. Now, it's a word that means the same thing, but I think the feeling that we get when we hear the two is quite different. Isolation feels very limiting and scary, and solitude can be something that's spiritually renewing. For some of you with Virgo new moon, you may need to create more time to be in solitude, okay? Many of you who have this have Libra rising, so you're someone who thrives off connections and relationships that may not gel with you, but you know, it's in those moments that we are alone that we can really catch up with ourselves, to really observe, where is it that I'm in need of healing? What is it that I'm running from? Like, it's not a coincidence that it's the house of solitude, it's the house of spiritual connection, right? Like, oftentimes our intuition is the most accurate voice possible, but it's very quiet, and sometimes it takes us being alone in order to tune in. For some of you it could be working in solitude within your daily routine in a way that feels supportive. Now, 12th house is the house of self-undoing, so this can be a time to really clean up any habits that are destructive, that are addictive, anything of that nature, as well as observe which habits keep you imprisoned, which habits keep you stuck. Like, typically this speaks to more destructive habits, which, yes, can be substances certainly, but it also can be things like procrastination. It can be things like overspending, whatever it is that we use to numb or escape. Virgo New Moon is asking us to look our habits, look our routines right in the face, and really plant the seeds for encouraging more healthy routines and rituals within our world. And since this lunation does square off with Mars, which is in the 9th house of spirituality, higher learning, for some of you, it's around really integrating routines that make you feel connected to your why, to your big picture. So maybe having like a vision board that reminds you of your purpose or what it is that you feel like you're here to do, or, you know, having something in terms of spiritual self-care, a gratitude journal, an astrology planner, something that attunes you to these larger cycles, that grants you a sense of peace and reminds you daily to be taking care of yourself, yes, to a physical level, but with the places that it's hitting within your chart, to a spiritual level as well, reminding yourself of your big picture. Let's say you're someone who's religious, that's also 9th house. You know, creating time to pray, creating time to go to church, anything that feeds your soul and allows you to sort of illuminate what in your life feels murky or feels scary is really supportive for this new moon. So love, let me know what you thought of this video. I know this new moon is a little strange, as it has elements of planting seeds for the future, as well as elements of cleaning up and streamlining for the past, but I guarantee this is a very powerful new moon. So long as you simplify, think easy, think clutter-free, and think of the little things that contribute to the big picture of your world. Loves, my Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.